Paintball nerd.
All right, today on Paintball Nerds Fun 5, we have a paintball legend. He played for Lofty. He played for the Iron Kids. He played for the Ironmen. He played for Avalanche. He went back to the Ironmen. Then he coached the Ironmen through a double World Cup victory in 2007 and 2008. He's a firefighter and paramedic extraordinaire. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Mr. Eric Roberts. How you doing, E-Rob?
Good, man. How are you?
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for joining the show here today.
Thank you, bud. Appreciate it. Sorry, this is only the limited time that I have.
No, you look great.
2 kids.
So man, you've got a ton of paintball experience. You've seen it all. I'm sure you've got a lot of memories, but share with us, what is your favorite paintball memory?
I think the favorite one is like we talked about, like the World Cup 2000 when we won the series champion and the World Cup at the same time. Going back to it, I was never like the kind of guy that would follow the leaderboards or see what position we were in, or I had like sat back there and did like the math of like, okay, we need to win this game, and then these like Shock needs to not place above 96 points, like with a body count, or we have to keep 6 guys alive or 8 guys alive. I was never that kind of guy, so I just really had my mission and my job, so I really just focused on what I needed to do, and let the other captains and those guys take care of it. But I think the memory of that series, bringing it all together, was probably like one of the coolest memories, though. Just watching everybody come together, because we were putting guys together on the team that had been there for a while, and also just some kind of old blood and new blood, and trying to get everything together to get ready for that season. And we kept performing pretty well through that season, and towards the end, then it did come down to the numbers and the bodies and the points, and then luckily we were able to pull it off against Shock and win that one. So that was probably the best memory. And like when you start off playing paintball, it's like I didn't start off. I didn't even know that there was professional paintball when I first started. So probably even 4 years later from when I picked up the gun to win World Cup was a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, and a lot of us, paintball nerds got to share in that experience, because it was in Sunday Drivers.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like the most epic scene ever. You got everyone throwing their hands in the air, and you're playing with Maddie and Oliver, and Shaner's on the field, Marty's on the field, and it's like this just Rich Telford's talking about it, how you guys can't miss. Yeah. And for those that know about the documentary Sunday Drivers, it's that's the most epic scene ever, is when you guys won that.
Seeing the elation on everybody.
Yeah.
That's...
Dude, I just get goosebumps just thinking about it.
Later on, it's like, all those practices and the weekends gone away from the families, and the time spent, with your brothers, practicing, traveling, doing all that kind of stuff. It's like it all finally came to fruition, and then you get to celebrate like that and enjoy that moment. So it was pretty cool. I just wish I was on the field when it happened.
Yeah. So
I got shot.
That trump the 2007 and 2008 double World Cup victory?
Well, like for that final game against Shock, we're there in the breakout, going through and getting the initial kill. Like, we knew Marcus Nielsen was going to try to come do something to mess up the whole entire plan. Like, he tried to come over the top of the center wall. We were there waiting for him for that, and then everything just fell into place after that, and just started knocking off bodies. And then somewhere through the mix, I got shot, so I had to go back. But that one was, as a player, it was like the pinnacle, and that was like the greatest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Later on, through the coaching it, I think any coach has the same thing. Is like when they put so much time and effort into everything. I mean, you can put a lot of time and effort into something as a player, but I think as a coach, you put a lot more, because it follows you home. And you're constantly planning, constantly looking at your team and plays and layouts and positions. And it's like, I think that for a coach that puts that much effort into it, because I would lose my voice. Like, by Sunday, every time, my voice was about to be gone.
Because you did that playing as well. I remember that well.
Yeah, because we're allowed to coach from the sidelines for a little while.
Yeah.
and I always played snake through my entire career, so I was always the snake side coach. But winning it as a coach is it as gratifying?
Mm.
Yes and no. I would say it's a hard
Different
one.
flavor.
It's just a different like amazing feeling. So
Yeah,
it's
right
hard to
on, dude.
compare, man. It's hard to compare them.
Well, I mean, you've played with the best. You've played with everyone, man. Anyone who's a paintball legend and whoever that person looks up to, you've played with or against them. So, EROB, who's your favorite player? They can be retired, but who is your favorite player of all time?
I would say like as I was becoming or trying to like adopt a style, Richie Malachewski from Image was one that I looked at that I saw like the way he played, and I tried to follow and mimic that one. But as far as like because I got to play with a lot of different great guys, I think that as far as like a teammate, and like the one that I would always pick if it was like a 2-on-2, I think the one that I always go back to is still Billy Wing.
Absolutely, dude.
Because him and I grew up in Northern California together, joined the Ironmen, just a little bit apart as far as like years went, but playing together and everything. Billy and I didn't talk a whole lot, but we didn't need to because we both knew how the other person played and
Intuition.
what their style was like. So if I was to go play a 2-on-2 with anybody, it would be Billy. But I mean, I got to play with a lot of great players. I got to play with Oliver, got to play with Yoshrow a little bit. I mean, those are like Iron Kids days.
Yeah.
But I mean, Miko, Paxson, Todd Adamson, Stransky, like Benini, Marty Bush, a lot of those guys that, I mean, Shaner. I mean, I could list a whole bunch of like Lasoya.
Yeah.
I could list a ton of guys. Lemansky, Brian Fow. I mean, it just depends on what team you want to look at, and you could pick out 4 or 5, 6 amazing guys from each one of those teams. So,
absolutely. I think Billy Wing's a good pick, though, for sure. I've won some whatever with them, you know?
He'd be like the one.
Yeah.
That I would always say.
Cool. So you're not playing anymore, but if there's always that one item or couple items that are special to a paintball player.
Mm-hmm.
So if you could narrow it down, it could be gear, it could be clothing, whatever it is. What is some equipment that you can't step on the field without? What was most important to you?
For me, it kind of faded away after a while, but like the very first paintball team I played with was a team called Code 5150, and we had a tiger stripe jersey, like the old school ripstop. And when that team dissolved and we started playing with Lofty, I took that old jersey and made a headband out of it with like the terry cloth on the inside and everything, kind of made my own.
I was wondering where that headband came from.
Yeah, so that was an old jersey that I made, which is made just like the Sandanas and the Hormesis and everything now, like with the terry cloth and everything. But my mom on the side did a lot of sewing. So I was like, hey, here's what I'm going to do. So I made my own. And so I wore that thing until I still have it until it was like shreds.
Yeah.
Then I replaced it with like another one.
Actually.
But then I'd wear like the dye black ones and everything. But that was the one headband. I mean, I know guys have like 15, 16 headbands in their bags probably, but I think we're of an era when you use the same headband and you use the same gun for years.
Yeah, it's got mojo. You get used to it. You get good with it.
Yeah, it's your thing,
Yeah.
So I said the headband. The headband. I still look at that thing and I'm like, it's good memories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome, dude. So you've reached the pinnacle in paintball, right? You've got a lot of players that are legends of the game that look up to you and say that you're their legend. So for all the younger players listening, or maybe even some of the older players that want to make it to that level, that want to reach the pinnacle of the sport, what would you say it takes to get there?
Well, I think the game has changed so much. Like I was there during the progression of from like woods to hyperball to airball to the NXL. So I was always like a very one-dimensional player. So I always played the front, and that's all I did. That was my job, and that sometimes just depended on the other guys on the team, because the other guys on the team might have not been a front player style or speed or whatever it might be. They might be like a mid player, back player. So unfortunately, I was a one-dimensional kind of guy. But I think now the way that the game is, I think that guys need to be a multi-dimensional player. They need to be able to do two, if not three, different types of positions. If I could have gone back, I think every front player needs to be a good mid player, and every mid player needs to be a good back player. Because then once you adopt those skills of each playing position, then you can understand when you are the mid player or you are the back player, like what your guys in front of you need. So I think that would be the best bit of information, is just try to make yourself a very useful player no matter where you are on the field.
Learn all the roles.
And even just learn both sides of the field, whether you're a snake side or Dorito side. Again, I was very snake side oriented. That was, I think, if you looked on any video or photos, it's like I'm always that side. That's the side I was always comfortable playing, though. I like that style, so that was my thing.
Yeah, and you were also a unique threat because you're left-handed.
Yeah, like initially, like when you picked up a paintball gun, I picked it up right-handed because that's like my power side. But everything else that I do is left-handed, left eye dominant, left-handed for eating, drinking, riding, everything else. So for me to shoot a gun left-handed was no big deal. So right-handed and left-handed felt completely the same. But
Right on, dude.
It did help.
So you're a family man now. You got 2 kids. You've got an amazing career. Obviously, you have an amazing paintball career. So, Eric, what are you most thankful for, buddy?
I think it was the people that were around me. Like when we started coming up through the ranks, like when we would play at the little local fields. Luckily, the local field that I came out of was very rich in history now that you look back at it, with all the guys that came through there. And the field dynamics that we had at Mare Island in Vallejo, California was amazing. But for me, what set it apart, I think, was just the pure talent that came out of that field. And that was just the people that lived around there. You could have like Bob Long's Ironmen, all the guys from Dynasty, half of the Ironmen, which was later on like Oakland Assassins for Bob's team. Then there's a lot of other guys before that were there that later on moved away. Danny Love and Saransky and Opie, Dave Thomas. So I think being at that field, it's like you either learned how to progress or you just quit playing.
Yeah.
So it's like it was kind of like death by the sword. It's like if you didn't hold your own, if you didn't progress, then you just get left behind.
Sink or swim, right?
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. I mean, if you looked at all the guys that came through there, it's like you learned how to play with them and learn from them and be taught by them. And if you did, then you progress and get on a good team and go places. So it's crazy to see all the teams that came out of just like one field.
Yeah, and all the amazing players too.
Huh?
All the amazing players that came out of there too.
A lot of them. It'd be crazy. Like if you were to look at a list, it'd be a very, very long list of amazing players. So, and some of the guys that are still even playing today.
Awesome, EROB, dude. I'm so thankful for you.
Yeah.
Talking to you and hearing this these stories, I forget you went through all that, man. I'm thankful to have been a teammate of yours, even if it was just for a brief moment. And thank you for your time here today.
It was fun, man, playing with you. It was good to go through all that and have the experiences. I wish you could have won more championships, but sometimes just where you are.
That's just where you're at, man.
Also, another thing is like stick to the teams. Like you see guys bounce around so much.
Yeah.
It's like they try to make all-star teams, man. It's like if you get a good group of guys that are good with each other and learn how to practice and play together, it's like you can still grind and become good teams. So just because you're on a crappy team or you think it doesn't isn't going to work. You just got to learn how to work with your brothers a little bit better.
Invest in them.
Yeah. And
Awesome.
I'm a big believer in trying to stay as local as you can to your team. If you're a state away or 2 states away, man, it makes it hard.
Oh, definitely. Awesome, Eric. Well, anything you wanna leave for the paintball community? Anything you wanna share in closing?
No, man, just thanks for reaching out. It's good to kind of relive some of this stuff and talk about it again. Like I said, I got 2 kids and a career that kind of takes up a lot of my time. So it's to get away and to go play is tough. I wish it could happen a lot more, but just the way, the way it is. I loved the career when I was playing paintball and working at Die and able to do all that kind of stuff, but things change after a while. You always have to make sure you have a good, stable career and good job because you never know what's going to happen.
Exactly. Cool, buddy. Well, thanks again for stopping by.
All right, Isaac. Thanks, bud.
All right. Later,
See you,
buddy.
nerd.